What's happening, everybody? It's me, Crazy Frankie, and I'd like to welcome you to my Week 6 for Key Game Picks. Now, a lot of things happened in week number 5, so I just want to cut it short and sweet in what I want to say here because I really want to get to my picks for Week 6. Now, where do we start? Well, the Patriots shut up everybody. They shut up the critics. They shut up everybody. And it didn't surprise me one bit that they would beat the Bengals, but boy, did they beat the Bengals in a good old-fashioned ass whipping. I mean, they put up 41 on the Bengals. I mean, that's pretty impressive. But what I really say to that is that, well, I always see more or less the Patriots are more of a home team than they are really a road team this season by far. I really don't see the Patriots much as a road team, and that really is going to come back to haunt them if, say, they get into the playoffs and then they would end up playing in the divisional round. I think, to me, it could become a factor if the Patriots are not a road team because their losses came in their hands on the road, i.e., they lost to the Dolphins and they lost to the Kansas City Chiefs on the road. So just for this game, I kind of figured that the Patriots would get back on track. That was no surprise, so a lot of you shouldn't have been surprised anyway. How about the Browns? 25-point comeback on the road, and it hasn't happened in a very long time for a road team to come back from that big of a deficit. I mean, well, then again, I realized that Tennessee was playing banged up, and I knew Tennessee wasn't really that good of a team, but really for the Browns' sake, I mean, you fall behind by 25 points late in the game, and then you had to make every effort in the second half to come back. But give them their props, though. They came back fiercely strong. And they came one of the biggest comebacks I've seen in a long time in the National Football League. So big kudos to the Cleveland Browns here. Their record is 2-2 at the moment. And hey, hopefully this is the start of something good for that franchise because really that franchise hasn't done anything since their resurrection in 1999. But hopefully that the Browns start getting back on track. And hopefully for something good for that franchise because really that franchise really needs something to look forward to. But then again, they're looking forward to basketball, so it doesn't really come much better. Hopefully they become good at football pretty soon. I hope so because I know that franchise is a mess. The Bills defeating the Lions in Detroit, and it's not more or less of how they beat them on the last second field goal. If any of you watched that game and saw that former Lions head coach, now I think he's the defensive coordinator for the Bills, Jim Schwartz, got carried off the field. Now that's what I call basically getting embarrassed. I mean, the Lions did fire him after the season last year, but what a way to come back to Detroit and basically just shoved it up the Detroit Lions' ass. Boy, I tell you, that to me is embarrassing. But then again, the Lions, they factored in they messed up so much. Obviously, they couldn't close the gap in that game. They should have won that game, but obviously penalties really killed them, as I suspected. But then again, their defense did not play well. I mean, you let Buffalo come back into that game when really you should have blown them out. But hey, it's football. What can you expect? Cowboys still on a roll. They won in overtime, beating the Houston Texans, but they got a huge test coming up pretty soon, and that's going to be one of my key games that I will mention in just a few minutes. But other than that, we'll see what else. Anybody watch the Seattle-Washington game? I was really surprised by that game that there was 3 touchdowns. I mean, 3 touchdowns that should have been caught by Percy Harvin got taken back due to penalties. I really must say, I don't know if I saw one of the worst officiated games I've seen in a long time in the NFL. I don't know what is. But then again, the Seahawks, give them credit. They hung in there. They won by 10 points over Washington. In all honesty, that game should not have been close. Because I know the Redskins stink. They're not that good of a team. And I just don't know how the Redskins were able to stay in that game. But in all honesty, the Redskins should have lost big. Because I know Seattle was a way better team than that. But obviously the referees, I don't think, agreed with that. But obviously you could say there's controversy right there. Chargers blew out the Jets, and I not mean don't blew them out, but shut them out as well. And I think it's safe to say that Rex Ryan's job may be on the line next week. And what a way for it to be on the line if they don't turn their season around. You got to play Denver next week. You got to play Denver this coming Sunday. Ugh. I even Rex Ryan said in his press conferences after the game that he knows his job is in jeopardy. But I hate to say it, but I think it wouldn't be surprised me after next week. I think you could pretty much bank on that I think Rex Ryan will be fired after next week because they've only have one win and they've already lost 4 games, and more likely they're going to be 1-5 after Sunday. Well, anyways, that's pretty much it for Week 5. Let's get into Week 6. Key game number 1. It's the Indianapolis Colts against the Houston Texans. It's the Thursday night game. Indianapolis coming up big on their huge victory over the Ravens. And obviously a big test coming up because Houston is still playing very well, even though I know they're 3-2 and they lost to the Cowboys. But this is it. I know Thursday Night Football, they've really been struggling, having some pretty good games because 3 of their last, basically, you could say all of their Thursday night games on NFL Network and CBS, they've been blowouts. They have been basically just snoozers. But I think this might break the trend here. I think this game will be a close game. Both teams are both teams are playing exceptionally well. The Colts are 3-2 as well as Houston. They're basically tied for first place in the AFC South division. But the way I'm looking at it right now, who wins this game? And I know Houston still has the defense, but really the Colts offense, they found a way to break through the Ravens defense, and it would not surprise me if they do the same thing to the Houston Texans. So if you're going to ask me who's going to, I mean, this is going to be kind of quick here, but expect this to be a very close game. I expect it to be close all the way. I don't see anybody going to walk away a huge victor, but somebody will win this game and be 4-2 and will take sole possession of first place in the AFC South division. So who do I have winning? I'm going to go with the Indianapolis Colts in this one. They have the offense, they have the quarterback, they know how to win, and Houston's going to have to find a way to stop Andrew Luck and that offense if they want to bring an upset here. The game is in Houston though, but I just think Indianapolis will come away a victor here. I mean, they're playing well. I know they've been a home team mostly because, well, actually they tend to be more of a home team, but I know they've already won a road game and they've already won 2 home games already. So I think Indianapolis is kind of a tad better, and the odds makers have the Colts as a 2.5-point favorite, and I'm going to go along with them as well. I think to me the Colts will slightly walk away a win in Houston. They'll beat the Texans. Key game number 2, Bears at the Falcons. I don't know what happened to the Bears last week, but they had a lead and they couldn't hold it. It's tough to say. I mean, I have to tend to agree with a lot of people. It's hard for me to trust Jay Cutler. I kind of figured Jay Cutler would do this. One day he's good, and 1 week he's good, and 1 week he's playing terribly. It's really tough to say for this Bears team, and obviously they're lacking the offense, but their defense hasn't been playing well either. I mean, look, they got blown out by the Packers 2 weeks ago, and yet you lose, and you let the Panthers come back last week and win, and you let them win. And who's to say what's going to happen in Atlanta? Now, Atlanta, I know they're on a 2-game. I know they've been on a 2-game losing streak, but this is a game. I mean, they lost the Giants and they lost to the Vikings, and I know this is a must-win for them as well. I know for both teams this is a must-win to kind of salvage their season a bit. But obviously, the Falcons need this game a heck of a lot more than the Bears do. And if the Falcons offense can keep it intact, I mean, I question the Bears offense. I know the Bears offense needs to stay intact. I mean, I know they do have some good wide receivers, but yet their offensive line is not doing a good job of protecting Jay Cutler. And if the Falcons expose that, it's going to be a long game for Jay Cutler and that Bears team. So who do I have in this game? I'm going to go with the Atlanta Falcons here. They need this game desperately right now to keep pace with the Panthers. And you know that, basically the entire NFC South division is still up for grabs. I mean, a lot of those teams are still in it. I mean, the Saints won last week to go to 2-3, And I would not count. I'm not going to count out the Saints that much out. I know what's going on with them, but basically, if you're going to talk about the Falcons here, they need to win desperately right now to keep pace for first place in that NFC South division. And I think they'll get a victory against the Bears. It will be a close game, but I think the Falcons get out of this one a victor here. I'm going to go Falcons over the Bears. Key game number 3, the Cowboys at the Seahawks. Now, a lot of you are saying, well, this is going to be a quick pick. I think it will be. Yes, I'm going to pick this game rather quickly, but it is a key game because the Cowboys are on a roll. They've only lost one game. The Seahawks barely squeaking by the Redskins, only winning by 10 points. Seattle's at home in this one, and they're a huge favorite in this one by 8 points. Seattle's favored by 8. And obviously the noise factor is going to be huge in Seattle. Tony Romo and that entire team is going to have to find a way to cope with that. Now, look, the Cowboys are playing very well, and they're going to need to play even more better against the Seattle Seahawks team. And they just got to do effectively what they've been doing in their last victories. They got to run the ball. And if they run the ball, I think they might give Seattle a hard time, even in Seattle. If they can just run the ball effectively, find a way to eliminate the noise factor, I think the Cowboys might have a shot. But you just can't find much weakness for the Seattle Seahawks team, even though their only loss came into the hands of the San Diego Chargers. But the way Seattle's playing right now, it's hard to go against them at home. I just don't see them losing this game, but it could be a close game, but I just think Seattle is the better team in this one. So my pick for this one, you got to go with the Seattle Seahawks over the Dallas Cowboys. Is it going to be many people's lock of the week? Maybe, but it wouldn't surprise me if the Cowboys make this a game. I think to me it will be close, but I don't think it'll be like a 7-point or 3 points and all that. I think I see Seattle probably winning by maybe 13 or something like that, but I don't expect a huge blowout. But I think the Cowboys will be in this game. But Seattle they're just too good at home. It's hard to go against them in Seattle. You got to go with the Seahawks over the Cowboys. Key game number 4, the Sunday night game. The New York Giants at the Philadelphia Eagles. Giants are on a roll. They won their last 3 games. They're bringing the record to 3-2. Philadelphia coming off. I don't know what's going on with Philadelphia here. They're coming off barely beating the Rams. I see that Philadelphia's offense is struggling a bit. They're actually having trouble running the ball, actually. McCoy hasn't been much of a factor for this Eagles team, and I'm thinking a lot of teams have picked up on that. It's really kind of shocking to me that this Philadelphia offense, I mean, they're still tied. Oh, look, they're tied for first place right now with the Cowboys. But I don't know, the Eagles, I mean, could this be a close game? I think it's going to be a close game here. The way the Giants are playing right now, they're playing like a complete team, and they're getting it together here. For Philadelphia, they got to find a way to answer that, because if the Giants, I'm pretty sure have noticed that Philadelphia's running game hasn't been really that effective. It hasn't been effective in their last few games. I mean, the Eagles really should have been winning their games by big numbers. I mean, I know they do have a running game, but McCoy really hasn't been much of a factor, and a lot of defenses have found a way to put a stop to him. And the running game for Philadelphia really needs to be better in this game. The Giants really are finding ways to win, and they've found ways to win in their last 3 games, and they're on a roll. And this is a huge game because it's in the division. Not only that, the Giants are making noise now. So who's going to come out the victor here? I will say the Eagles win this game. They're going to win in a very, very close game because the Giants are playing very well. But I think the Eagles come out the victor here. The Eagles are at home, and the Giants are going to have to find a way to beat them here. But I just think, to me, the Philadelphia is a slightly better team than the Giants are. But I know the Giants will make it a game. It will be close, but I think Philadelphia in another squeaker. It's tough to say what's going on with this Philadelphia Eagle team. Well, anyways, that's it for my key game picks for week number 6. Go to the sportblog.blogspot.com for all of my week 6 picks. And until then, I will see see you all next week for week 7 and my picks for that week. And until then, enjoy your football weekend.